Hey guys, what's up? I was asked to make a video talking about the hidden stats of all the Predator classes that have been released so far. For those of you that don't know, most of the Predator classes have hidden passive stats that are not mentioned here in game, in the menu. In the class menu, you only have the information in regards to HP, stamina, movement speed, and gear. Unlike with the fighting classes, which I'm gonna be showing here, like the assault class, go here to the assault, you have here, it's mentioned the two positive passive abilities that they have, which is like for assault, they have better hipfire accuracy, they do extra bullet weapon damage, like recon, extended spot duration, extended mud cover duration. So like for the fighting, this stuff is actually mentioned, but for the Predator, it's not mentioned. And not only for the Predator, not only is not mentioned, but they have both positive and negative. While fighting only has positive passive abilities. So yeah, I mean, this is fighting hunting grounds, of course. So Predators cannot have all the good things like the fighting does. Usually these hidden stats are related to doing more damage with something, taking less damage for something, or like the amount of energy, which is something they could have added here, to be honest. Like just like we have like the information about HP, stamina, movement speed, and gear, they could have like another bar here, just with the amount of energy that they have, which is like something that differentiates a lot of the classes. Another thing that some of classes have is stuff like infinite thermal vision, or some of the classes, which is something that I even made a video about, like how they are affected by the modifier reserve perk. I made a video comparing the different energy reserve with the classes a long while ago, probably over a year ago by now, and also testing how the modifier reserve perk affects it, because like usually the lighter classes, when they have the modifier reserve perk, they're either their cloak or their thermal vision is not gonna cost any energy if you just use one at a time, while for heavy classes like Berserker, Viking, it doesn't really matter, the modifier reserve is not gonna affect them like that. So I have made already some videos comparing some of the classes that, but not like just one including everything. Like usually when a new class comes out, like I think when Mr. Black and Wolf came out, I did test it on a video or like in a live stream, the amount of like sniper shots that it takes to second win. Then usually I made a comparison to the Hunter class, because as you guys can see here, like you have Hunter, he has 3 bars of health. Mr. Black and Wolf has more. Like Mr. Black is supposed to have like the maximum HP in this game. Wolf has a little under it, but in practice, when I end up testing it with private matches with someone, the amount of sniper shots that it takes to second win Wolf or Mr. Black in comparison to the default Hunter class is pretty much the same. And it has to do with the fact that the Hunter class has the passive ability of taking 7% less damage from bullet-based weapons, and the other classes don't. So despite the fact that here in the menu, oh, Mr. Black must be much tankier, he probably can take much more damage than the Hunter, he has more HP. Yes, he has more HP, but he doesn't have the passive of taking less damage from bullet-based weapons. So like if you make a comparison to with like grenades, yeah, Mr. Black can take more grenades than Hunter class. But when you compare with bullets, the difference is not that high, which is also why Berserker is not that much tankier than many people think, because he also doesn't have this bullet damage resistance. So like Berserker is supposed to be a tankier Hunter, right? A tankier slower Hunter, but he doesn't have the damage resistance from bullet-based weapons, and he actually has another very bad negative passive, which I'm going to be explaining soon. So like a lot of these stats here are not that accurate. Like they are accurate, like they use most of the, all the time. Like yeah, Berserker has more HP than the Hunter, Scout has less HP than the Hunter, but because of the hidden passives, in practice, things that you see in the stats here are not gonna be like really what's gonna be happening gameplay-wise. And a lot of other stuff like when a class has like the maxed stats, like here movement speed, the Scout has maximum movement speed, right? So you would think that another class like the Alpha that also has this max movement speed, or Wolf, they have the same speed, right? Because here in the sets they have like the full bars, but actually Wolf is faster than both. Like Scout is lower than Alpha. Alpha is actually faster than Scout, and Wolf is even faster. Despite the fact that we see here the same amount of bars from movement speed, Wolf is actually faster. So yeah, okay, about the hidden passives, I'm gonna be starting with Hunter, which I already mentioned. It's just that from what I know, his only hidden passive is he takes around 7% less damage from bullet-based weapons. Only bullet-based weapons, except shotguns. Just assault rifles, snipers, submachine guns, whatever. So he takes a little less damage from it, and I think that's something that has on all Predator classes. The less HP they have like this, they get like this extra armor. I don't know if you guys noticed. Like, I mean, I noticed because I have tested like having someone doing sniper shots until a second in that class. Like the first sniper shots take more HP, and the last sniper shots, when your HP bar is going down, the amount of HP that you see in the HP bar, it's less than the first shots, because as your HP goes lower, is like I think this must be something that is all exclusive to, I mean, it's like on all Predator classes. the less HP they have, the less damage they end up taking, just up for a little bit, you know. The Hunter class is usually the class that I use as if I want to make a comparison in regards to other stuff, like I consider this is the class with the average amount of everything in the game, you know. The average, see, if I say, oh, this class has high energy, I'm talking in comparison to the Hunter class, because Hunter class is the average for everything, like its default class. So average HP, average stamina, average movement speed, average gear and perk points, average inner reserves, which is not mentioned here, but I consider the Hunter class to be what I call the average energy reserves here. So yeah, his only hidden passive is that he takes 7% less damage from bullet-based weapons. For the Scout, he has a similar passive, but instead of 7%, it's 9% less damage from bullet-based weapons. He has a negative passive of doing 5% less melee damage, which kind of makes sense because Scout is not supposed to be a class to be used for melee, so he does less melee damage. So don't use the Scout for melee, guys. He's supposed to be more of a ranger kind of class. Not only because of his low HP, so if he comes too close, he can just get melted really fast, but he does less melee damage, so he's not very effective for that. He has a low amount of energy in comparison to the Hunter class. He has very low energy, which is not like, I mean, for me it's kind of bad, because I usually like to use a lot of plasma now, but he has infinite thermal vision, so like his energy is only gonna drain for cloak and for plasma, while thermal vision you can use as much as you want. This is a passive ability. If you put Modifier Reserve on him, he's gonna have both infinite thermal and cloak. So while using those two things together, there is not gonna be any drainage of energy, so you're only gonna be draining energy by using plasma. But to be honest, I don't like classes with that low energy. Even though the recover from overload is faster, because usually most of the time the amount of time that it takes for a Predator to recover his energy bar or just recover for a complete energy overload is usually proportional to his overall energy. So classes like the Scout that have less energy, they can recover their energy faster. But I just don't like overloading too soon, because you overload too soon, you just give away your position because it makes noise, you decloak. I don't like classes with too little energy. Even though the recovery is faster, I just don't like overloading all the time and just exposing my position, you know? So yeah, those are the hidden passives of this Scout class. Next one, Berserker, the big boy, the class that was supposed to be built for melee, which was it was actually not that bad at launch. It used to be much better. His passives were better. At launch, he could do 15% more melee damage. He had more HP. And he didn't have the negative passive that he does now of taking 10% more melee damage from the knife. So it's kind of stupid, because the melee class, actually, it's easier to knife to death than many of the other classes. It just, I just hilarious. That's why I say that his HP is not that, like the amount of, like, if you just make a comparison with knife slashes, the difference between him and Hunter is quite minimal, because even though he has more HP than the Hunter, he takes more knife damage. He takes 10% more knife damage from the fighting, which it just made him much more ineffective. This is just a result of all the complaints that they had at launch, because like I said, he used to be better at launch. He had more perk points, he did more melee damage, and because of all these complaints, they decreased his melee damage passive of like 15% to 10%, which is, as of now, he does 10% more melee damage, which is like a default Fearless. Like if he has like the Fearless perk, which increases Fearless, which increases the damage from melee weapons by 10%. It's like if he has a passive, you know. And if you put Fearless on top of that, that's gonna go to 20%, because it stacks on this game. But you don't even need it with this class. You want to use other perks like Adrenal Boost, because the stamina is a big problem with the Berserker. But yeah, he has been nerfed. He has been given that negative passive. He has been nerfed his melee damage. He has been given a negative passive of taking more melee damage, because people used to complain about this class so much at launch that he ended up becoming the worst class in this game. Yeah, he's just the worst overall because of low perk points, more gear points than he actually needs. He's low. He's a big target. He has low stamina. He doesn't do that much more melee damage, and he takes more melee damage. So just terrible. Like this, despite the fact that he is supposed to be built for melee, he's actually not that effective. Actually, there are other classes that are just more effective for melee than him. Next one, the Alpha Predator. He does 6.6 more melee damage, a little less than the Berserker. He has the passive of taking 7% less damage from bullet-based weapons, just like the Hunter class, and he has low energy. He has his amount of energy is around the same as Scout. It's closer to the Scout than it is for the Hunter class. Next one, we have the Elder class. The Elder class is it has the same passive of taking 7% less damage from bullet-based weapons. He has the same negative passive as the Scout. He does 5% less melee damage. He's not a class to be built for melee. He's more of a long-range class, especially because of the Stalker specialization, which is supposed to be used when your stamina is full. mainly plasma, and it goes well because he has the highest amount of energy in this game. He's the class with the highest amount of energy. And it goes well because Stalker is his specialization with Stalker is all about shooting plasma from a branch while your stamina is full. So it goes very well because he has the enough energy for doing that. Next one I'm gonna be talking about, oh yeah, Jungle Hunter and Capture. It's the same thing for Hunter, like it's the same class, guys. There's only the visual difference, but the stats are the same. City Hunter, he has the same passive, like 7%, think less 7% less damage from melee from bullet-based weapons, and he has higher energy result. He has almost as much energy as the Elder Predator class. Both Elder and City, despite having high energy, they both are gonna be their energy is gonna drain from using both cloak or thermal. Like you need to put modifier reserve if you want to have one of those two things to be like not having any energy drain from it, you know. I usually see Hunter, I'll use modifier reserve a lot with him because when I have modifier reserve with him, the thermal vision is not gonna be costing any energy. So I am gonna have a lot of energy to spare to be using for plasma. So usually modifier reserve can go very well with classes like City Hunter because they already have enough energy. So you just take away the drainage from either cloak or thermal. So you're gonna have a lot to spare, and also because he has analytic, I like to use more thermal vision with him. That's usually the choice that I have with him. This Samurai class does 6.6 more melee damage, and he takes 15% less knife damage. So actually he's the class to go for like knife fights. Well, he's like a better Berserker because even though he has less HP than the Berserker, he does actually a little bit less melee damage. He takes 15% less knife damage from the fighting, while the Berserker takes 10% more knife damage. So I would say like the Samurai might be the best Predator class for 1v1 knife fights. I think he's definitely better overall than the Berserker, especially because of his specialization also. He has Ghost, so I mean, you don't even need that much of a passive, you don't need Fearless with Ghost, because Ghost gives 30% more melee damage, so he's quite good. He has more energy. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention, sorry. Berserker also has more energy. He has the same amount of, almost, I think a little less than the Elder, but his energy overload recovery takes too long. Like that's the problem. Like I said, with the Scout, like when the Predator has low energy, he can recover faster. When the Predator has a lot of energy, it takes a little longer for him to recover from the energy overload. Berserker is one of those cases. The interesting is that the Elder has a little more energy than the Berserker, has the most, but his recovery is a little faster than the Elder. So like sometimes the stats, like it's not always proportional. Like it's not because the class has Elder has more energy than the Berserker that he's gonna take more time to recover from the overload. Actually, he takes a little bit less. And also the Samurai has around the same energy, a little above the average, a little above the Hunter, a little closer to the Berserker. Next one, you're gonna have the Viking, which is very kind of similar to the Berserker. He also takes 10% more damage from the knife, which is terrible, but he does 13% more melee damage, a little better than the Berserker. He's like a better Berserker, to be honest, but it's still bad. He does a little more melee damage, has more perk points. He has a kind of better specializations, but he's still like just too similar to the Berserker stats wise. He's still like a big slow target with the low stamina. The Valkyrie is, I think, the only class that doesn't have any passive stats. I'm not aware. Like from what I was told, she has you guys can see here that she has a little more HP than like the default Hunter class, but she doesn't have the passive of taking less damage from bullet-based weapons. So actually, in practice, like if you just compare with bullet weapons, she actually has less HP, like in actually practicing gameplay. But from what I'm aware, she doesn't have any passive abilities. Her energy is pretty average. Like she's just average, like in everything pretty much. I mean, in regards to the usual stats, like she's like a Hunter with more stamina and speed, but less gear. Her energy is in the average, it's pretty much the same as Hunter. I'm not aware of any other hidden passive stats for the Valkyrie. A lot of people thought that she had more melee damage, but I have never seen proof. I actually tested it, and she seems to be do the average melee damage. Usually melee damage is something that we test with wrist blades. The wrist blade damage is usually 30 for one wrist blade slash. So like you just do it, test it with someone in private. If it does 30, it doesn't have any damage boost. If it does like 33, then that means the class has 10% more melee damage. That's usually how I test this kind of stuff. Next one, I was gonna talk about, where is she? Oh, Cleopatra. Cleopatra does 13% more melee damage, just like the Viking, and she has a higher amount of energy. She's almost as close as City Hunter. I think she's like between, no, I mean, I think for energy, she and City Hunter are a little closer, and then the one that has the most is gonna be the Elder, but that's pretty much it. She has like Fearless, has a passive, 30% more melee damage, and she has higher energy reserves. She does not have the bullet damage resistance, so despite she being a little tankier than the Elder, in practice it's not that noticeable because the Elder does have, because a lot of people say, oh, Cleopatra is a better Elder because she's faster and tankier. Yeah, she is faster indeed, I'm not gonna take that away, but for HP the difference is not that significant because the Elder has the passive of taking less bullet damage, while Cleopatra does not have that. Next one, I was gonna talk about the Exiled. The Exiled has 6.6% extra melee damage, kind of like the Alpha. I like to compare him a little to the Alpha also because he has lower energy reserves, but he has infinite thermal vision. Thermal vision does not drain. I feel like he's like a mid-term between the Alpha and the Scout. He has the infinite thermal vision just like the Scout, low energy just like both classes, but he also has more melee damage just like the Alpha Predator. So those are his hidden stats. Next one, Falconer, he has 3.3 extra melee damage and infinite thermal vision. Mr. Black has 10% more melee damage and infinite thermal vision as well. Lately, all the latest Predators have been released. I think apart from the emissary, they all have been given an extra, infinite thermal vision. Mr. Black, Falconer, Exiled, they all have infinite thermal vision. But despite the fact that they have different, they have like different HPs here. Like people say, oh, the Exiled and the Falconer are like tankier Scout, a tankier Scout, and the Mr. Black is like a tankier Hunter. Yeah, they have more HP, but like I said, these classes have been listed. They don't have the passive of taking less damage from bullet-based weapons, just like Hunter, City Hunter, Elder, and Scout. So like the difference is not that significant when you compare with the damage from just snipers, assault rifles, and that kind of stuff. The Wolf Predator class has infinite thermal vision and a lot of energy. He has, I think he's just under the Elder. He has just a little bit less than the Elder, but the Elder is gonna be draining energy while using thermal vision, which is something I even mentioned in my video talking about the Mr. Black. The Elder Predator class, despite having the most amount of energy, when I use the Elder, I try to not use much thermal because otherwise my energy is going to be draining too fast. While with classes like Mr. Black or Wolf, I don't have to worry about that. They have infinite thermal vision, which is something that I enjoy a lot. Just be able to not have to worry about that so I can save all my energy for Plasma or for Cloak. Last one, we're going to have the, where is it? Emissary. The Emissary. The Emissary does 10% more melee damage and he has low energy reserves. So he's kind of like a mixture of both, in my opinion, the Berserker and the Scout. Like he's like a meta because he does more melee damage like the Berserker, and but he's like fast, like a little faster like the Scout, and he has low energy like the Scout. So he's like something between. Like he has like he has also same gear points and same perk points as the Berserker, but he's faster and he has low energy. So he's like a mixture of the both. Like they just mix the stats between the two classes. And well, I think that was it. Like, this is kind of stuff that, yeah, they should have mentioned in game. They should have like put another bar here on the side, like next to gear. They should have put another stats, just showcasing the amount of energy that all these classes have. You know, that should have been something that Xenopedia should have made. And on top of it, just like on the fighting, they should have put like the positives and the negative aspects that each of these classes have. Like they didn't have to mention like the amount, the percentage amount. That's fine. But I just wish they could have mentioned it so we didn't have like to always figure out this kind of stuff in game. Because I remember like when I found out that the Scout have infinite thermal vision, it was like months after the game came out, and in one match, I was just like using thermal vision. I just looked at my energy bar and oh, it's not going down. That's interesting, you know? And well, that's it guys. I hope I managed to just showcase and just inform you guys of this stuff well into this video. If you guys have any other question about the class, I hope I cover everything, because I sometimes end up forgetting about some details. But if you guys have any other questions in regards to the classes, you can go to the comment section and ask me about it. See ya!